with what felt like the stage set for a final battle, wound up not being the case. We pull it back a little bit more and then we reset it up. This episode likely to be more of that, setting us up towards the final encounter to occur over the last few episodes. Maybe even start this episode. Maybe with Ryuko now back standing on her feet after being basically out for the entirety of the previous episode, but this time feeling a little different. Not the first time we've seen this. Seems to be very common that she keeps getting in these sort of mindsets and moods. So we'll see where that sort of brings us. You assume likely she's going to have to reach some sort of conclusion, as we've already had multiple times with Sengetsu here, to be able to get him back on pace a little bit for what it is they need to do to to conquer this and actually come out victorious. But we have to wait and see how she wants to handle that, and maybe a little bit more specifics into what we can potentially do or he can do to say and persuade her into being comfortable enough with utilization of him. She's already expressed in the past her own difficulties, but getting over the fact that they're both essentially created and being used as weaponry to take out and eliminate this family and the things that they're essentially doing, and still having such an issue with that while being created of people from this evil family and everything as well, and uncovering even more. It's making it more and more difficult for her to go back. So we'll have to see, though. They did display that she does have some capabilities and powers and things from working on her own and working with him. So now not being with Sengetsu, just being able to operate and do these things on her own is interesting. I don't like that too much, but I guess we'll just let it play out and see where they go with it until likely full-on reunion and they become one again. We shall see, though. We shall see. Hopefully Satsuki has something else up her sleeve a little bit here to get free and basically get to the point of the final showdown that she needs and regroup. So hopefully all goes over well for them. If you like it all, like and subscribe. Not to me, feel free to stick around for the discussion on the comments of the series. Let's get going with episode 20. Yeah, you. It's not your fault that you're the way you are, but you are the way you are. Right. Thank you. Best girl, Mako. Doesn't hit as hard when you you don't get the echo. What happened to her color? We've been saying this. She's the only one who never realizes it. Right. It's been like 10 episodes and you keep ignoring me. Glad they made their move. Yeah, flip it. You're not wrong, though. That's fun. Right. You like your sister, huh? She just mad, taking it out on everyone. I like how they have their own glow to them. Oh, there we go. Trifecta.
死ぬまでずっと生命繊維と一緒なんだ。仲間殺しのために作られた戦闘兵器は鮮血じゃねえ。この私だったんだ。分かったら二度とまとわりつくんじゃねえ。まとわりつくよ。だって鮮血ちゃんは
connect
一番の親友だもん。いつまでもいつまでも静電気がいっぱいの洋服みたいにまとわりつくよ。バチッリュウコちゃん。
その上で我々に何ができるか今考えるのはそれだけだ。
Yeah, she'll be back. Just focus on you.
君たち腹が据わってるね。高校生なのに。
さつき様に鍛えられたもの。この程度でへこんでるわけにはいかないの。
マタイを挑発して本能寺学園に呼び寄せて何を狙うのか。
あいつがラ行とハリメヌイを倒してくれれば面倒が省けるな。
苦しんで恨んで、今度はあいつが苦い涙を流していた。私は本能寺学園に向かう。流行法
They can't hear you, bro.
と言っても誰にも伝わらないだろうが。
先月ちゃん、リュウコちゃんを追いかけたいのね。
She gets it though.
わかるのか、私の言葉が。
わかったわかった。
Get your actions though.
感触君、先月の言葉が聞こえるのか。
No.
全然。
やっぱり。
でも気持ちならわかる。
He reminds me a lot of the imaginary friends in my head though.
気持ちだもん。
今のポイントはこれ。
さつき様だと生きているのか。
He's so fucking big.
貴様ら見るな、見てはいかん。
俺の心眼痛も画面には効かんのだ。誰か教えてくれ。
鎖で吊るされてるよ、すっぱだかで。
鎖ですっぱだかだと。どういうことだ。
どういうことでもない。
It took me a second to pick up on the fact he literally can't see it. Sending a message. Her single leak run out now.
研いでいる。さつき様が反逆の牙を。
正確には爪だけど。お嬢様、参ったな。君たちがそれだけやる気満々だと、僕もパンツを脱がざるを得ないな。
Right now it's time to get serious. Must unleash the power.
ヌーディストビーチのモテる戦力のすべてをサツキ奪還作戦に注ごう。
最後の一枚だ。裸の太陽丸出航。
He set sail on the sun.
瀬戸以外地球触れたら退出させろ。よっしゃー、いよいよや。お前らしっかり決まれよ。どうどんぼりゲート。
Glad to see you again, brother.
細に絞り上げて完成させたヌーディストビーチ最後の切り札。
Always gotta have one. It's beautiful. Like how we got the logo in there too. We set sail. This is where all the funding went, huh?
俺たちも行くぞ。医者が乗っておいた方が都合がいいだろう。
Of course.
は我が家があります。ちょうど揚げ物の油が欲しかったんです。面白そうだしな。
ガッツガッツ。行こうみんなで。いやいやいや、そもそも劣等生連れてくとは言ってないし。
無駄だ弱ずれ。満感触の聞く耳の持たなさは本能寺一。いくらお前でもこいつの。
Honestly, you might not be wrong there.
よくわかんないんですけど。
They just stand there like NPCs waiting to be activated and interacted with.
今日のリュウコちゃんは。
Glad to see you got your color back.
小田はいい。てめえとラギをぶっ殺しに来たんだからな。
I don't know about that.
様を殺してどうするの。
You feel better about yourself?
今戻れないんだよ。
始まったか。
I don't even know how much damage we gonna be doing, but if we can utilize ourselves as some sort of distraction in a way, I think that works.
これでやられるようなやつなら楽なんだけどね。予想してたとはいえ、あそこまで平然とされるとムカつくな。
It's just a just a missile, nothing crazy.
今は好きなだけはしゃいでみ。派手な迎えだな。
寂しいんだよね。自分が人間だと信じてたのに、敵だと思ってた生命繊維が自分を生かしてくれていた。じゃあ自分の味方は誰？自分の敵は誰？誰も自分を分かってくれる人間はいない。
there's only one option when that gets presented to you.
でもね、リュウコちゃん、絶望しちゃいけない。君には僕がいる。
Exactly.
僕だけがリュウコちゃんを守ってあげられるんだよ。
好きなだけほざけ。続きは地獄である。
I feel like she's just messing around. Yeah.
見て見て。
Look at this. Wow, so pretty. It's sparkling.
繊維の輝きが脈打って本当に綺麗だよね。
Just like yours. We have matching ones, actually.
一つ違うとすれば、君はラギョウ様のお腹の中で育ったけど、僕は生命繊維
I was made in the lab.
だから僕は君の魂の兄弟なんだ。
やかしい。
Blinding.
あれは純血。
The fuck?
などという半端な服を着てはいけない。着るのなら一流の服を着なさい。やめろ。カムイ純血。それこそがお前にふさわしい。あれは純血。
Incoming swap. So cool.
さつき様、
お風を召します。これを。
お迎え遅くなりました。
いや、さすが四天王。いいタイミングだ。
What wonderful friends. Oh, I thought he got sliced up from something random.
純血に心を委ねなさい、リュウコ。
Here's a quick history lesson. Just flood your memories with everything.
わかるね、リュウコ。
はい、お母様。
what a beautiful life it should and could have been.
そういえば宝田財閥の発端は造船だったな。
さあ、さつき様こちらへ。お嬢様。
Let me ponder.
いいところですが。
お前のお茶を飲めるだけでも戻ってきた甲斐はある。揃い。ぶっ壊してやるよ。何もかもな。
確かに最悪の事態だ。
Yeah, it's not exactly what was planned going into this.
一人に沈められるよ。
あのバカ。スムグ。死ぬぞ。勝ちはある。
Be great, my brother. It's the literal only two we got left for this. Yeah, fucking cheater. Hand them over. that wasn't ideal. And with Sengetsu, we swap. Yeah. Was fun. Oh, we went from having 2 to now 3 obstacles, huh? And a switch of outfits, a switch of people who are their, I was gonna say host, but that's not necessarily the case in a way for Ryuko, but not necessarily going to be for Satsuki. But a fun switch, I would say. Switching not just this, but it feels like essentially what each person is going after. They're still battling each other, but one's trying to get through to get to Raggy now, and the other one just is trying to almost put a stop to it to allow whatever plans they have. Well, she doesn't really know her own things due to being kind of worn in her own way and controlled fully here. It's still fun regardless. I'm very excited to see what Satsuki's transformation is going to look like and how that's going to kind of work, if at all, like really possible throughout this. It could be fun, and it might be a little bit more than simply the being, I guess, that is harboring the sort of clothing and god robe that they're wearing, and more so on the ends of like these things being built up almost with like their own personalities in a way and their own beings, which would give a lot more life almost to something like Shingetsu, who's not like a actual spoken being or anything up to this point, but being a being that wants to solely be involved with, or being potentially just created in a way as somebody who fully controls one's own like mind and abilities almost, and like rewires them in a way to make them operate and act out in a certain light. Well, Sengetsu's like more of being created in a way for that sort of synchronization and connection to allow you to propel further almost and evolve into something that will work together alongside you to take out any obstacle and thing almost within its way, which will be fun too. So I'm excited to see, because if we do go just along those sort of lines and continue onwards with that, we do get to see how different almost Satsuki would potentially fight in this scenario as opposed to what we've been able to get out of and see from her before. So definitely could be fun. But for the most part, the entirety of the episode is just build up towards that, which is more of what I think I was fully expecting. It's just a lot of building up towards us getting these final battles. We create Satsuki, or not Satsuki, but Ryuko in this situation now being the other obstacle almost that we need to get through. Initially starting the series with it just being Satsuki, and then starting to introduce these layers, and now having 3 that we have to go through, then stripping it back and then making it 2, and then now we're back to 3 in a way, is a fun way to keep things bouncing around a little bit and things come up in your way of powerful enemies that it's a weird feeling, because it's one of those, like, we're going to get through this, and we're going to get to Raggy, so it's not like a mental thing, like you can't tell yourself you're not going to, because let's be real, we will. But at the same time, they're powerful enough that it's not like I feel like they're just coming on screen as a filler enemy that we have to like go against, as somebody that we have to defeat that before we can actually get to the ultimate thing that we're basically waiting for. It's a hype, exciting thing of somebody and 2 characters, especially that have been built up since the beginning of the series, that kind of clash at this moment, and especially earlier on, while you still have the mystery of Nui and having Raggy out there as well. So it's really fun. I think it's definitely a good and positive turn for us to have. What I still don't think is a positive turn is the overall outlook and mentality and stuff that has resulted in why Ryoko's in kind of the scenario that she is. I said it last episode, I didn't like the way that we were going, and it felt like it was just going to be one of those situations that we had multiple episodes ago at multiple different points now, that I haven't liked any of them to begin with, and I feel that again. They're flat to me. It feels that way once again. We get the scenario where she's yelling at everybody and walking away, and the music's playing. It's like this emotional sort of thing. It's not. It's flat completely. And it doesn't do anything for me, which has unfortunately been my biggest criticism of everything throughout this series. So it makes the rest of the build up and the things throughout this episode not really as impactful or as strong really for me. But there's a positive at the end of it where it does result in a pretty cool scenario for us to end off on and to continue with going through the remaining episodes here. So there's some positive almost into it. I think like for that to really make me look back and be like, okay, I get it. We would have to not have her go back to Sengetsu. We just can't, but they're going to, so that's the only negative I think about this for me. Because it's like pretty likely I'd assume that we do get back to that. But my reasoning for saying that we don't is just we've done this so many times that it's just a little repetitive at this point, because now we're going to have to break her free essentially from this to then create a scenario where she can overtake and be like, oh, I'm sorry for all my mistakes. I'm sorry I felt this way and did all these things. Let's work together and see the positive in the thing in this, despite all the negatives that are going on and the darkness within our own lives here and the beings that we are and the, you know, being unstable and everything that I have to go through right now. We'll work through this, right? It's same old thing we've done. So I don't know. I kind of hope that we just don't do that, but I'd assume that we likely will. And I get it from a scenario that it's like, this is what's happening. It's a lot for her to take in. Every turn along the way here, she's been finding out and uncovering new things that she didn't know before, that she didn't really want to have to know, and now has to almost face that life and that truth, and she's struggling to process her own feelings and her thoughts and everything along those lines too. But they play out the same way every time, so it just finds itself to be rather unappealing to me. I don't know, but for the most part, that's where we're at. The similarities of everything else that we've had throughout this series, of some things maybe not being my favorite, but on the production end, them doing a lot of quality things throughout the episodes, I think really are nailed. So there's no real complaints to that. The overall direction and vision for like these sequences of, you know, her looking like this and the coloring is really, really strong. The Mako cut-ins are always great. Never really have too much complaints about them. I'm curious what her role is going to be going forward here. I assumed we were going to utilize her in a way to fight. I thought it would be her getting in control of Sengetsu at some point while we're trying to convince like Ryuko to kind of like come back or snap her back into it. It makes a lot more sense, and as we develop the episode with freeing Satsuki and stuff, that would be the case instead. But I am interested to what her role is going to be. I feel like she's been so important up to this point, so to just be like a background person who continuously interrupts throughout might not necessarily be as strong, and maybe we need a little bit more direction with her, but we'll see. Nui, very terrifying, of course, having to show up here. These look fantastic. I absolutely love it, and we do some really fun stuff visually with her being able to fly away. We play with the overall sizing and the way that everything looks kind of within frame of her being so much more intimidating and stuff here, focusing on others while not necessarily needing to be focused on Ryuko, because she's still connected in a sort of way too. And we even do it a little later when she comes here and she's massive behind the what the fuck do we call this? The mountain. I guess that is our city. It's all pretty cool shit. And I like the white and the color and stuff being fully stripped as they are within these forms. She's mad and angry. I don't love the power development. I said that last episode too, just through her own internal rage and as well as her evolution of just training while having Sengetsu and while not, to be as strong and powerful as she is. I just don't love that. Mako's very smart though throughout this, of constantly trying to push this on her and get her to snap out of this in the scenario that she's in, and we've done that before, but it does make a lot of sense that she would be that person. But it's nice to know that she's not actually coming through and being successful on it, as it is something that has been done before. So there is things that we have to do to kind of prevent that from constantly occurring and becoming repetitive at that point. So it's good. She runs away. It's a little flat, not as strong as I think I would have desired, especially in a massive split scenario, kind of like that. But it's whatever. Mako understanding him makes perfect sense, while not, but like at the same time getting it. It definitely works. It makes sense. And Satsuki has a way, of course, to get herself free. Everybody understands and knows. And we set things off. Love it. Massive boat. Cool family reunion. Cool. Kamigori sticking up for his girl. Cool. Pretty sick. Badass slide in. And explosion with the bike, which is great. And then we just having a whole bunch of fun until we can get Jingetsu and out and have him become one with, or overtake, I should say. They're not necessarily, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to call them one. Her ripping her own heart out and be like, oh, look at this. It's all sparkly and stuff is very funny. And great. And it connects and it works well. Learning a little bit of origins and things that comes from who Nui is fun as well. And then also getting to see a little bit of vision and backstory, especially when Ryuko gets fully overtaken here. I say backstory, but I think it's more of like envisionment of like what could have been or what was supposed to be in a way if things had been successful and gone over the way that they should have. But it is nice to be able to like almost like infuse and pump that stuff kind of in with her to brainwash her into this successful and like happy life and everything that she should have and would be able to likely end up living here. And it's the necessary precautions and things needed to be taken prior to her actually getting overtaken entirely from this god rope. So it makes sense. We fly in. This cut's super cool. Us zooming in into the explosion, which I think is great. And we get to see Ryuko fully ready to take this on. Can't say I love her in the outfit. I don't think it looks too great, but it is what it is. Maybe it's just because I'm so familiar and likes and gets it so much. But I don't know. We bring Satsuki to life, of course. We have to swap and let her take over. It'll be fun to see how this kind of goes on and plays out. Some cool stuff, some okay stuff. But we build up some hype and excitement towards a fun little twist at the end that leads us into exciting climax moments of one of 3 obstacles that we have to clear within the next 4 episodes. So pretty cool. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you liked it all, like and subscribe. Now to me, feel free to check out the channel and the comments of the series. I'll be back for episode 21 very soon. I hope it's a great one though.